Greetings from Temecula, California on this Thursday evening. Lots to get to on the program. We've got boxing news, football news, some basketball news. MLB playoffs are happening. There's a lot going on. Thursday night football, and just really a lot going on. So we're so thankful that you're with us. I truly mean that. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So we start with boxing because we got some news that the WBC light middleweight title fight between Sebastian Fundora and Keith Thurman is off. It's off. It's not happening. Originally scheduled for October 25th in Vegas, Fundora's out with a hand injury. Now listen, I like Fundora. The kid's got size. He's exciting. He's awkward. He's 6'6", fighting at 154. It's ridiculous. He beat Tim Tszyu. He's had a nice little run, right? This was going to be his third fight of the year. But this is what drives people nuts about the sport. Every time you think you've got a big night circled, something happens. Injury, politics, sanctioning bodies, whatever it is, the fight falls apart. And this one was supposed to be the headline for the PBC on Prime Card, MGM Grand, big night. And not only does Fundora Thurman fall apart, but the co-main event, Oshik Foster against Stephen Fulton, that's now getting bumped again. It's like they can't get that fight off the ground either. So now the boxing world is in limbo. And this is where it gets interesting. They're looking at January. Early 2026, maybe the 24th or the 31st. And they're saying it'll co-headline with Manny Pacquiao's next fight. That's right, Pacquiao, who, by the way, at 46 years old, is still doing this. Fought Mario Barrios to a draw this summer and looked really good. I thought he should have won that fight. And apparently, we're hearing Rolly Romero might be next for him if Romero doesn't get forced into that WBA mandatory against Shakram Gaisev. I mean, come on. This sport is a tangle of alphabet soup and broken promises. Thurman, meanwhile, what can you say? The guy is talented, but he's snake bit lately. You know, he was supposed to fight Tszyu earlier this year. Then he got hurt. Now he gets Fundora lined up, and everybody's excited, and Fundora goes down with the hand injury. So that the man can't catch a break. But I'll say this. If they do manage to make that January card happen, and if Pacquiao's still fighting, and that's a big night for boxing, Fundora Thurman is the co-main event, that's solid stuff. But I'll believe it when I see it. And we got to get Oshak Foster and Fulton. We got to get that match off the ground too. But the thing with Fundora, real quick, he's one of those guys that can make boxing fun again because he's weird. He's unpredictable. And when he fights, you watch. And for Thurman, look, 36 years old, he doesn't have time to waste. He needs that belt. He needs that payday. So once again, boxing, managing to trip over itself. The fans get left waiting, and that's the story of this sport half the time. Fundora says he'll be back in January. We shall see. Let's move over to the NBA, where big news out of Charlotte today. The Hornets have waived Spencer Dinwiddie. That's right, waived him. Now remember, Dinwiddie just signed with Charlotte back in July. 1 year, $3.6 million. And here we are, week before the regular season. He's gone. Team had to cut down to the max of 15 standard contracts. And Spencer draws the short straw. This is a guy who's been around 12 seasons, played for just about everybody at this point. Detroit, Brooklyn, Dallas, Washington, the Lakers, you name it. And he's been good, right? He was a solid six man, a guy who can come off the bench, handle the ball, give you double figures. But clearly, Charlotte's in youth mode. They're trying to find out what they've got with LaMelo and Brandon Miller, Mark Williams, and the rest of that group. So I get it. New coach, new front office direction. You don't want to waste minutes on a 31-year-old veteran, but you also need some adults in that room. And Dinwiddie's one of those guys. The guy's averaged 13 points and 5 assists over 600-plus games. That's not a scrub. It's a numbers thing. They've got 15 guaranteed deals. Somebody had to go. And it's funny, he played just 2 preseason games. That's it. Barely had time to unpack his bags. Now I'll tell you this, he'll land somewhere. No questions about it. He can still score, still handle the ball, still run your second unit. So teams like Miami, the Clippers, maybe even Boston, they'll all be watching. Somebody's going to need a veteran guard when the injuries hit. But this is where the league is now. Contracts move fast, rosters turn over, and a guy with Dinwiddie's resume can be out the door before the season even tips off. For Charlotte, it's youth, it's development, it's cap flexibility. For Dinwiddie, it's another stop on what's been a very nomadic career. Continuing with the NBA, and every once in a while you get one of these stories in sports that just feels good. And this one, this AJ Green kid from Milwaukee, it's one of them. 4 years, $40 million, fully guaranteed. That's life-changing money for a guy who wasn't even drafted. Think about that for a second. This kid comes out of Iowa. Nobody takes him in the draft. Gets a two-way deal, which basically means you can hang around but don't unpack your bags. He works his way up to a standard contract, plays his role, makes his shots, doesn't complain, and now he's cashing in. That's what you love to see in the league. And listen, this isn't just a feel-good Rudy type story. The kid can flat out shoot the basketball. 42% from three for his career. That's elite. You give me a guy who can shoot 42% from deep in any era, I'll find a spot for him. And he's not just standing in the corner anymore. Doc Rivers clearly trusts this guy. Made him a full-time starter heading into the season after what he did in the playoffs. And that's earned, not gifted. You remember that Game 5 last year? Bucks down, season on the line. Rivers throws him in the starting lineup. Green drops 19 points, plays 46 minutes. 46. And he shot 51% from three in that series. That's not luck. That's poise. That's confidence. I don't care if they lost or not. And you know what else? Milwaukee had to do this deal now. Because you can't let a kid like that hit the open market. The league pays shooters, always has, always will. You think some contender wouldn't have tossed him a bag next summer? Please. So good on the Bucks, good on the kid. This is how you build stability. You've got Giannis, you've got Kuzma and Miles Turner, and starters who know their roles. And now you can add AJ Green to another starter who knows his role and doesn't need 20 shots a night and plays within himself. You win championships with stars, but you keep them with guys like AJ Green. Sticking with the NBA, 30 teams in 30 days. Today we're talking Orlando, the Magic. And they took a little step back last season. 41-41, finished 7th in the East, got bounced in the first round, but don't let that fool you. This team's trajectory is still pointing up from 21 wins in 2021 to 47 the year before last. And then injuries hit them, right? Banchero, Franz Wagner, Suggs, all missed time. And yet they still finished top 2 in defense. That tells you this team competes. Now, the offense was another story. Ranked 27th, couldn't throw it in the ocean from 3-point range. So what do? They go out and trade for Desmond Bane, one of the best shooters in the league, and they sign Tyus Jones, who's one of the most reliable point guards you'll find anywhere. Those two alone will change how Orlando plays offensively. Bane shot 41% from deep for his career. That's elite. He gives them spacing, something Paulo and France desperately need. And Tyus Jones, he's a pure point guard, second in the league in assist-to-turnover ratio last year. You add those two guys to a healthy Banchero and Wagner, and suddenly the floor opens up. And let's not forget, Jalen Suggs. This kid was having a monster year before that knee injury. Career highs across the board, and all defensive second-team guy. He's the kind of player that brings the energy and toughness every great team needs. If he's right, that defense stays top 5. Now let's talk ceiling, okay? Because that's the big question in Orlando. If they stay healthy, they can absolutely push into the top 4 in the East, okay? I'm not saying Orlando's better than New York, okay? They're not better than the Knicks. They're not better than Milwaukee, okay? But I would say they're better than Philadelphia. I would say they're better than Boston right now with Tatum sidelined. So, you get some steady improvement from Banchero and Wagner, both averaging 24 plus a game last year, and integrate Bane and James smoothly. That is a dangerous group. And the East is wide open. Remember that. I mean, I know I was talking about the Knicks, but new coach, and so that makes some people kind of go, we'll see. Tatum's injured, Halliburton's injured. The Sixers, we don't really know where they're at. Milwaukee's got some issues going on. So I think this East is wide open. Cleveland's still trying to figure it out as well. So there's a path here for Orlando to make a leap. Home opener October 22nd against Miami. They've got some NBA Cup games in November. They're even heading to Berlin and London in January for the global games. So the league clearly believes in their marketability. This is a young, talented, well-coached team that's tasted some playoff basketball. If they take the next step offensively, they're going to win a lot more than 41 games. Let's go down to Houston. Talk about the Rockets, who've gone from bottom feeders to a legit Western Conference threat in just 2 years. Do you want to talk about a team that's rocketed, pun definitely intended, from the basement to relevance? It's this one. 2 years ago, 22 wins, then 41 last season, 52 and second place in the West. That's an incredible turnaround. And look, they lost in the first round to Golden State, a tough 7-game series. But this is a young team that's just got a whole lot more dangerous because, by the way, they went out this summer and had Kevin Durant. Right? Not just anybody. I'm talking about the 4-time scoring champ, 2-time finals MVP, top 10 scorer of all time, that Kevin Durant. The man can still get buckets in his sleep. And now he's paired with a young, hungry group that defends like crazy and runs all night. And not only that, they got Clint Capella back in that 7-team blockbuster. So now you've got Capella and Steven Adams anchoring the paint, Jabari Smith Jr. stretching the floor, Sengun doing his playmaking big man thing, Fred VanVleet still runs the show, Amen Thompson's a freak athlete who already is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and they add wings like Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Okogie for toughness. That is depth. But make no mistake, the story here is Durant. That's the question everyone's asking. Is he the right fit? He's 37 in his 18th season, and this team's timeline is younger. But listen, you bring in Durant for one reason: to win right now. You've got a coach in Ime Udoka who preaches accountability and defense. If anyone can make KD mesh with a young, defensive-minded roster, it's him. And I'll tell you what, Amen Thompson is the X factor. He's already elite defensively, earned all defense first team last year, a 6'7" guard who blocks shots, pickpockets, and lives beyond the rim. You can't teach that. If his offense keeps developing, we are talking about a future all-star, no question. Now, can this team get over the hump in the West? We talked about this yesterday, and I feel like we talk about it a lot, but we need to reemphasize how competitive the West is. I mean, OKC, Minnesota, Denver, Clippers, Lakers, Golden State, Phoenix, and they're all there. So can the Rockets get in that mix? Because Houston's got balance now. Youth, athleticism, and one of the greatest scorers of all time. I don't think you can count them out. They opened the season October 21st, opening night in Oklahoma City. Then the home opener October 24th against Detroit. And circle Christmas Day, December 25th, 8 o'clock, Rockets-Lakers. The league wants eyes on this new look Houston team. This isn't the rebuild anymore. This is the next phase, title contention. And if Durant still got one great run left in him, Houston might just be the place it happens. From basketball, we move to women's college volleyball. And we are halfway through conference play. The RPI and KPI are out. And the road to Kansas City, the site of this year's Final Four, is starting to take shape. 64 teams will make the NCAA tournament field, with 31 automatic bids and 33 at-large spots. The top 4 in each region host the opening rounds, and those higher seeds earn the right to host regionals later on. Right now, the top line looks crystal clear. Nebraska sits at the number 1 overall seed at 16-0. And get this, the Huskers haven't dropped a set since September 16th. Texas, the only other unbeaten in the nation, is right behind at number 2. And rounding out that top line, the ACC heavyweights Pitt and Louisville. And circle your calendar, those two clash Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, from the L&N Federal Credit Union Arena. It's the first of 2 meetings between the Panthers and the Cardinals that could decide the final number 1 seed line come Selection Sunday. Lurking right below Kentucky, Southern Methodist, Arizona State, and Stanford. And how about the Big Ten muscle showing early? Indiana, Purdue, Minnesota all land among the 3 seeds, joined by a resurgent Miami team. There's balance across the board. Powerhouses mixed with surprises. Creighton and Wisconsin headline the 4 line, while Penn State, BYU, Illinois, and UCLA fill out the 5 seeds. Now, what about the bubble? And here's what... this is where I think it gets interesting. Georgia Tech boasts the nation's 6th toughest schedule and owns a signature win over Purdue. But 7-8 record overall. The Yellow Jackets need to find momentum fast. Auburn could play its way into the field this week with upsets over either Kentucky or Tennessee. And then Oregon's next 3 against Minnesota, Wisconsin, and UCLA could make or break their postseason hopes over the next 9 days. Your first 4 out are Auburn, Georgia Tech. So Auburn, Georgia Tech, Clemson, Villanova. Next 4 out, Oregon, Utah, Washington, and Arizona. No surprise, the Big 10 and Big 12 lead the way with 11 teams apiece projected in the field. The ACC and SEC each bring 6, and the Big East holds steady with 3 bids. So as we inch toward November 30th, when the bracket is finally revealed, one thing is clear. The balance of power in women's college volleyball has never been deeper. Nebraska and Texas might be perfect, but there's a pack of heavy hitters right on their heels. And looking forward to a volleyball season and the volleyball tournament. I tell you what, no kidding, I have watched more volleyball this year than I have my entire sports following. Yeah, and go Sun Devils. There, I said it. So anyway, from volleyball to college football, Indiana, the Hoosiers, just gave Kurt Cignetti a new 8-year deal worth $92.8 million. That's right, $92.8 million. Not Alabama, not Georgia, not Ohio State, Indiana. And listen, I've been following college sports for a long time, and if you told me 10 years ago, I'm from Indiana, by the way, from Indianapolis, been to Bloomington several times, watched their football team. I remember when they were 2-12 growing up as a kid, and if you would have told me then that Indiana would be handing out a near $100 million deal to a football coach, I would have told you to go get your head checked. But here we are. And you know what? The guy's earned it. 17-2 since he got there. His only 2 losses, Ohio State and Notre Dame. And that was last year's national championship. So it's not a fluke, right? He's built a machine in Bloomington. They're 6-0 right now, 3rd in the country. A massive win against Oregon last Saturday. They're another double-digit favorite against Iowa. Or not Iowa. Is it Iowa? I think it's Iowa. I do know they're a double-digit favorite. Let me look that up because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I do know they're a double-digit favorite, though. Michigan State, I'm sorry. 27.5-point favorite against Michigan State. They beat Iowa a couple of weeks ago. And like I said, last week's win over Oregon got them that number 3 spot. What was the score against Iowa? 20-15. So 5-point win against Iowa, but still on the road in Iowa, tough place to play. Then you go on the road against Oregon, right? Nobody loses. The Ducks don't lose at Aztec Stadium. So, and Indiana handed Oregon that loss. So now they're a 27.5-point favorite against Michigan State. And, Indiana could be a national champion. I mean, that's where we're at. They're in contention. Okay? Mendoza might be the front runner for the Heisman. I mean, this is crazy to me. And Pamela Whitten, the university president, said it right. Sig is a winner, and he is. The guy came from James Madison, a program that won everywhere he went, and he walks into Indiana, changes the culture overnight. Players believe, fans believe, they got a swagger in Bloomington they've never had. And I'll say this is kind of, contract. This kind of contract puts you in the big boy neighborhood, 11.6 million a year. That's Saban money, that's smart money, that's Ryan Day territory. So the expectations are now sky high. You're not the cute underdog anymore. You're Indiana with money, facilities, and national expectations. You go 8-4. Now people are, starting to get restless, and that's the trade-off. But for right now, give the man credit. He's turned a basketball school into a football powerhouse. That doesn't happen often. And if they keep this up, Bloomington's going to be one of the toughest tickets in the country. Indiana football. Who would have thought? Sticking with football, and we shift our eyes east to Happy Valley with Singetti locked down in Bloomington. Penn State's coaching search just got a little more complicated. He was the dream candidate, a proven winner, culture builder, and someone who could have brought instant credibility. But let's be real, why would he leave? He's got the keys to the kingdom in Indiana, a fan base that worships him, and now a contract that rivals the best in the sport. He's not going anywhere. So, who's left as Penn State goes back to the drawing board? Names that we keep hearing. Matt Rule. He's the front runner by default, right? Rule's name keeps popping up, and for good reason. He's got Big Ten ties. He's a program builder, and he's reportedly very interested. He might not demand, Signetti's level money, which helps Penn State. And but the question remains, is he a true upgrade over James Franklin? Because Franklin won, got him to the Big Ten championship a couple times, won the Big Ten at once, but he missed the playoff that year, and I ended up losing that New Year's Six game. But he won. Franklin won and got that, school back relevant. He just didn't win the big ones. He lost to Oregon in Happy Valley this year. And then, of course, the double digits favorite. He was favored by double digits. Say that 5 times fast. He was favored by double digits and loses twice. Lost in the college football playoff to Notre Dame and others. So Rule has to prove he can do more than just stabilize. Now, people in Sleepy Valley are throwing out Nick Saban, right? And that's the dream scenario, right? Ethan Iman floated it, and while it sounds like a fantasy, it's not impossible. Okay, I mean, stranger things have happened. Bill Belichick's coaching at North Carolina. So stranger things have happened. Saban could use Penn State as a final act, a chance to prove SEC dominance by winning in the Big Ten. And it would take a monumental offer, though. That's the problem, right? It would take something like Signetti's contract to even entice him. And and even after that, it's really a long shot. So other names, Manny Diaz, the familiar face. Diaz knows the program, he knows the culture, and has done solid work at Duke. He's young, energetic, and could grow with the team. But would fans rally behind him? That's the gamble. It's not a splashy hire. It wouldn't make the front page. But after Franklin, Penn State might not want fireworks, right? They might not want this big thing. They might just want to keep it low-key. So Manny Diaz offers you that. And then lastly, I keep hearing Marcus Freeman, which that's probably that's a long shot. I don't know if it's as a long shot of Nick Saban, but they're both kind of right there in the possibility of could that happen. Never say never, but I doubt it, right? And Marcus Freeman, look, he's talented, he's respected, and already at a major program, but prying him from Notre Dame, where they love him, would be tough. And there's no clear indication he's interested. I think he's perfectly happy in South Bend with a program that loves him, respects him, and all of that. So with Senghetti off the board, Penn State's options are narrowing. Rule feels like a safe bet. Diaz, the developmental play, and Saban, the moonshot. But whoever takes the job inherits a program that's tired of almost, right? They want playoff wins. They want trophies, and they want them now, today. The pressure's on. Let's see who steps up. Here's what's trending in sports. Tony Edmond delivered a tie-breaking RBI single off Milwaukee rookie Jacob Mirowski during a 2-run 6th inning, lifting the Los Angeles Dodgers to a 3-1 win over the Brewers tonight and a commanding 3-0 lead in the NL Championship Series. The victory puts the defending champions 1 win away from returning to the World Series, something no team has done since the 2009 Phillies. The Brewers now face long odds as the only other team to come back from a 3-0 postseason deficit was the 2004 Red Sox. Goaltender Carter Hart has agreed to join the Vegas Golden Knights, becoming the first of the 5 players from Canada's 2018 World Junior team to sign an NHL contract since being acquitted of sexual assault charges earlier this year. Vegas announced the deal Thursday with undisclosed terms. Hart, alongside with Michael McLeod, Dylan Dube, Cal Foot, and Alex Fordeman, cannot play until December 1st as part of the NHL's reinstatement process. The 27-year-old former Philadelphia Flyers netminder said he hopes to show the community my true character, adding he's grateful for the opportunity to restart his career. The Golden Knights said they support the NHL and NHL's Players Associations process, emphasizing their commitment to organizational values. Commissioner Gary Bettman noted teams are free to make their own decisions within league rules regarding the reinstated players. Hart joins Vegas' roster featuring goaltender Aiden Hill, Erika Schmid, making a new chapter after 6 seasons in Philadelphia. The players' 2024 trial ended in acquittal when the judges ruled the prosecution failed to meet the burden of proof. While NHL deemed the events deeply troubling, it closed its investigation after reinstatement was approved. The women's college basketball season opener between number 1 UConn and number 20 Louisville, scheduled for November 4th at Ramstein Air Base in Germany, is in jeopardy due to the ongoing U.S. government shutdown. According to a source familiar with the situation, if the shutdown persists through Monday, the game will be moved to a neutral site in the United States on the same date. ESPN, which organizes the Armed Forces Classic, would need time to relocate equipment and prepare the alternate venue. With our goal is to host this year's Armed Forces Classic as planned at Ramstein Air Base in Germany. We are exploring contingency plans due to the circumstances, ESPN said in a statement. This would have been the 3rd Armed Forces Classic held at Ramstein and the first featuring 2 women's teams. Previous editions included the UConn men's team in 2012 and a Texas A&M West Virginia matchup in 2017. The shutdown, which began October 1st after the Senate failed to act on a House-passed GOP funding bill, has forced U.S. military bases to operate at reduced capacity, complicating logistics for the overseas event. Sunday night football going on between the Steelers and the Bengals. Here's a quick score update. Bengals defeated the Steelers 33-31. They advanced to 3-4 on the year. Steelers fall to 4-2. In baseball, Mariners hosting the Blue Jays. Blue Jays win at 8-2. That series is now tied at 2 apiece. Baseball tomorrow, Blue Jays take on the Mariners. Game 5. First pitch set for 6:08 p.m. Eastern Time. And then at 8:38, Game 4 between the Brewers and the Dodgers. Here is tonight's final thought. In a world where progress is measured by how fast we move forward, it's an odd thought that perhaps the best way ahead might in fact, be to take a few steps back. Backward walking, or as the experts call it, retro walking, sounds like something out of a blooper reel, not a health regimen. Yet science says it just might be one of the smartest moves you can make. It stretches underused muscles, improves balance, strengthens the legs, and even retains the brain. For those who've gotten tired of the same daily stroll, it offers both a new perspective and a new challenge, literally turning the world around. A study at UNLV says walking backwards introduces a subtly different activity. Translation, it's a small change with big implications. Because when you think about it, that's what fitness and maybe life often comes down to. The small changes we're willing to make to stay healthy, sharp, and engaged. There's a lesson there beyond the treadmill. In a culture obsessed with pushing forward, we rarely pause to consider that not every step has to be in that direction. Sometimes growth, physical or otherwise, means revisiting where we've been, changing the view, or simply giving our bodies and minds a different kind of work to do. So if you're out for a walk this week and feeling stuck in the same old rhythm, try turning around. You might find that the best way to move forward is, at least for a little while, to go backwards. That'll do it for me on this Thursday night. Till next time, Ryder Bullock reporting. Thank you for your time, and thank you for letting me share mine.